Okay, so for my SIP, I decided to create a buy-sell trade app for TP. And so for those that didn't see my first presentation in the fall, I'm going to talk a little bit about like my kind of inspiration and kind of why I did it. And so back in my freshman year, when all students had all school email privileges, people would send out emails with like a picture of something they were looking to sell. They'd put like an ask price and like a little description for whatever they're trying to sell. It would usually be like shoes, clothes, furniture, books, kind of that sort of thing. And people would negotiate a price, and then they'd usually just go to the other person's room and like make a transaction. And so then my sophomore year, when they took it away, kind of that way of students buying and selling things in between each other wasn't really a thing anymore. So I kind of wanted to bring that back and make an app to leave with the TP community, like even after I'm gone. So I started off in the fall, and I kind of got more of a structure and more of an idea what I was going to do then. I kind of made, it's more of a proof of concept, I'd say, where I had it functional, but it wasn't perfect yet. So here's just some pictures of kind of what it looked like at the end of the fall. Basically, the way it worked was I had two main screens. I had the buy screen, which is right here on the right, and then the sell screen over here. And so you'd launch the app, it would take you to the buy screen, and there was a section here, which was where all the information for each listing would be. And the way I had it work was all of the information for each of the listings was stored in a database. And then pressing next and previous would swap out the information with the different listings. And I made it so that the maximum amount of listings at one time is 5, which keeps it the storage low enough to where I wouldn't have to pay a subscription with the database, which kind of keeps the maintenance low. And so I went with that. And at the top here, there's supposed to be a sell button, but sometimes when you launch the app, it was a little bit buggy and it would go to the top and you couldn't actually click it, but it would take you to the sell screen over here where you'd select an image, enter some info, and you could post the listing or press cancel and take you back to the buy screen. So at the end of the fall, I wanted to keep on working on this and try to make it better and try to make it into a more of a finished product. And so I started off the winter by talking to my alumni mentor, Mr. Duplessis, and I was looking for some advice and like some direction and some resources, which he was able to help me with. And he gave me some good advice, like trying to keep it very simple, not trying to overcomplicate it so that I could just kind of leave it and I wouldn't have to do a lot of maintenance. And then he also recommended getting some people to use the app a little bit, and so I could get some feedback and implement that to make it better. So after that, I kind of came up with a list of goals that I wanted to accomplish during the winter. And so here they are, I'm just going to read them. So I wanted a new and better looking user interface because as you can see, it's a lot very cramped at the top. It doesn't really look visually appealing, like although it might be functional. I wanted an account system so that users were like their actions were linked to them. Concern that Mr. Reed actually had the first time when I did the presentation was he thought, people could post something that might not have been appropriate, and then there would have been like no way to track like who it was or have any repercussions. So that was one of my goals. Make it so that only TP students could use it. Basically in the fall, in that current form, anyone that downloaded the app would have been able to make a listing, look at the listings, which wasn't really my intended purpose. Build it to require as little as possible, as I mentioned. Create a feature to remove listings. So previously, the way the listings worked is once it reached the cap of 5, when someone made a new listing, it would just overwrite the first one, and that would keep on going. So they'd only get removed when new ones were created, which wasn't the way I wanted it to be. So then that's kind of what I wanted to make it a final product. And then after that, I wanted to have a little closed beta with some friends from TP to use the app, try it out for like a week, and then provide some feedback that I would then implement, and then finally release the app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And the last thing I wanted to do was get students to use the app. So that kind of takes me to what I accomplished in the winter. So the first thing I did was I wanted to make the app look a lot nicer. So I did a lot of research on different like design languages, and I just settled on a dark theme, which has been pretty popular recently. Both iOS and Android have options for dark mode that have been recently implemented, and then apps like Instagram have gotten dark mode recently. I think it's pretty easy on the eyes and it looks appealing, so I decided to implement that. And then the first actual feature I did was I tackled the account feature. And so I have this little login screen that you can see here. And that's within the app designer. That's what the screenshot's from. And so basically, it was actually surprisingly easy because the database that I was using, Firebase, had a system for login features. So I just implemented it into the app and put some UI there, and it pretty much worked fine. The way it works is you put your email and password in, and then you sign up, and you get a verification email, which gives you a link to just verify the account. And once you verify it, you can sign in. And if you want, you can do check this little slider or switch, and it will constantly remember your info every time you log in the app, so you don't have to re-log in. And then finally, there's a forgot password button. So you enter your email here, click it, and then you get an email, and you can reset your password. Once in, you are greeted with the buy screen. And basically, it's pretty similar in the layout. I pretty much just spaced everything out to try to make it look a little nicer and a little less cramped. I added a header here to try to make it more visually appealing, and I added some more functionality. So I added the delete listing button, which basically just checks if the email on the post or listing is the same as the email that you logged in with. And if they are the same, it will just delete the listing. And then I added a sign out button so that you could switch accounts if you needed to. Then lastly, I added this little control panel at the bottom so you could switch between the buy screen and the sell screen, which takes me over here. So here with the sell screen, I basically kept it pretty much the same. I made it look a little bit nicer, and then I took out the option to enter your email for contact. Basically what it does is it just takes the email that you used to log in and then uses that for the listing, so then people know who actually posted the listing. So at this point, I pretty much had a finished product, in my opinion. Obviously, like with app development, you're kind of never finished. There's always kind of more stuff you could improve. This is where I kind of drew the line. Was like, okay, this is fine for now. Something I would be comfortable putting out, and so that's where I started to face some obstacles. So the biggest one is the app can't really be used right now, as none of us are on campus. So I wasn't able to do the closed beta, which I was hoping on doing, and I have not yet released the app as well. So basically, the last 3 goals I had, I wasn't able to do. And so the current plan is to just leave the final build of the app with the school, and then they could put it up on the App Store and the Google Play Store next year for people to hopefully use. Kind of in conclusion, I actually had a lot of fun making it. It was a good experience. I learned a lot, and something I'd definitely be looking to do again. Thank you.
Hi, Tom. Good, nice job. Sorry I came in late. My apologies.
You're all good.
Thanks.
Anyone have questions?
Well, I have a question, but I'm afraid that you may have answered it before I came in. Then I'll feel bad. So,
Okay.
Are you up for a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, when you sell something, where do the proceeds go? To you, or a percentage to the school store, or was
all the money goes to the person that sold the item. All the transactions kind of happen like between the 2 people. It's more of just facilitating like the contact between them. So like they could sell if they want to use like Venmo or something to just give the money, or do it like physically. That's kind of up to them.
So why is it linked through the school store, or is it really
It's not?
It's not. Okay.
No, he added that it was linked through the school accounts. So
Oh,
I think in the fall, it was just anyone could hop on.
Yeah. So I think I forgot to mention this, but basically when you sign up, it makes sure that you have like at Trinity-Pawling.org at the end of your email, or else it won't let you sign up. So you can only,
so it's a closed community.
yes. So only people at TP will be able to use it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
How much more complicated would it be? And forgive me if this is a simple question or silly question, but I have zero background in this. How much more complicated would it be to build in a payment option?
I never really looked into that because that was like never really my goal. So I really have no
explain
clue.
what that means? What's Mr. Harf even mean?
Like to have it so the transaction would happen inside the app. Guess is what he's trying to say.
Oh, not just the link, but the actual money would pass.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I thought about having it like trying to link into like Venmo or something, and then like setting up like the pay order, I guess. But I felt that it was best to just leave it between the two people because it's more just like getting into contact.
Well, also probably you have to pay a commission, I would think, to Venmo. They're not going to let you just piggyback on for nothing, are they?
I didn't look into it, so I have no
Okay.
clue.
Yeah.
Thomas,
Yeah.
this is Mrs. Berlandi. It's great to see. Thank you. Is there someone in the junior class who might have interest in taking this down, taking this further next year?
I haven't really talked to anyone about doing that, but there's a possibility. Maybe someone will want to pick it up.
But no one in the junior class would remember when it was an open situation with the emails, would they?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's true.
So,
Wow.
Thomas, I worked pretty closely with Sam Fetchner at Gedney Webb early on in sort of meetings and stuff. So I got to watch how that interaction worked. At what point did Mr. Duplessis come in and work with you? From the very beginning, or
From the beginning of the winter.
From the beginning of the winter. And
Yeah.
and what would you say was your takeaway from when he got involved?
Just like kind of heeding his advice. Originally, when I came to him, I thought that I was going to switch basically the application that I used to make the app. I was going to completely start over. And because I thought the application I was using was kind of restricting what I was doing and making it feel more clunky. And then, so a lot of the information he gave me was regarding that, but he also had some general advice, which is what I heeded. So I'm not sure if I really answered your question, but.
Oh, no, you did.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Did you talk to him by phone, or do we even have Zoom back
email.
then?
Well, I talked to him on phone, and then I emailed him as well.
Gotcha. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey Thomas, Andrew here. I think you did a sick job, dude. I
Thank
think like what you did is basically you brought it to the point where someone in my position can look at it and say, here's like an entrepreneur that actually built something. Because a lot of the time people will come in and pitch me things and it's like, they don't have anything for me to look at. They have no data on how it functions, and they haven't demonstrated that they have the technical capabilities to build it. Secondly, they haven't tested it, and you're at like this critical point right now that if you tested it within like a sample size of whatever your 50 friends, and let's say 20 of them use it and they came back a week later, and then you came into my office and you're like, Andrew, I want a couple $100,000 to build this product and raise some money and start this company. That's something that we would do. So I'm really impressed with where you've come from the winter, because you basically would invest in and kind of help you build, because at the end of the day, it's a lot like more about the entrepreneur, a lot less about building like a finished clean product. And you got it to a point where I can like look at it and I can market it myself and test it and see how people interact with it. So I'm really impressed with the notes. What did you end up writing it in?
I used a website called Dunkable, which I'd taken a class on this website called App Inventor, and it was just basically a copy paste of it, but it worked for iOS and Android. It was like a block coding, so it was pretty simple to do.
then you use Firebase for like the login and storing that data.
Yeah.
And then I think like wanted to integrate payment, you could do an API. Like I think Venmo has an API, and then you could pull from that API and then do the process through like their back end. I think the fees, to Mr. Mead's point, the fees I think are like 30% or like 3.5%.
Is he coming in very garbled for anyone else?
For me too.
Okay, yeah, I can't really hear what he's saying.
It sounds like Sam Fechner's music, but not as good.
It's he's got low bandwidth for whatever reason. Yeah.
If you
I think he's coming back in. I think he got
if it's
kicked out.
something that you want to keep building or something you pass down, I definitely want to.
Thomas, you and he are both third soccer alumni.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
Oh, there's better.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, I switched internet. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, like generally, man, I'm really impressed with what you did. It's like the hardest part for entrepreneurs to actually build something. It's a lot more talk than action, and you built a prototype and it's ready to be tested against. And the next step would be kind of raising a small round after you get data that says people want to use this and people like it.
Mm.
And I think as for like what you created within school systems, I think it's really valuable. Like the technology, if it was built up, it could be white labeled and then you could give it to Berkshire and Avon and whoever, and they could brand it with their own school themes and et cetera. So I think it's actually an interesting product that not many schools use right now. So I think you did a great job.
Hey.
It's also the kind of thing at the end of the year, there are always faculty members who are, buying and selling stuff, new faculty members who are coming looking for stuff, people who are either moving apartments or leaving who are trying to, this could be really valuable to them.
Yeah, I also had a lot of, like what I was telling my friends and stuff about it, a lot of people will come up to me that were like, yo, you should actually release that, because at the end of school, when everyone's trying to sell books, they thought it could help a lot.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
You should release it. I mean, there's a big company called OfferUp that does this kind of on a like mass level, but there isn't a school specific one. And I think just generally with technology right now, everything's trending to like be more specific to communities, localized. So I think if you're releasing like a localized app specific to students, it could do pretty well. And I think the business model would be like fees on every purchase or fees on transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Good job, man.
Nice job, Thomas.
Very good job, Tommy.